Hey folks, today we're going to be doing the transfer case motor actuator on this BMW X3 E83. So this is a very common issue. I've read online that mostly this fails anywhere between 80 and 120,000 miles. I don't typically drive on dirt or snow, mostly on asphalt. So I was thinking the four-wheel drive system doesn't necessarily need to have this repair done, but sure enough, at 103,000 miles, started getting the clicking noise underneath the car. And now we're going to go ahead and fix this one tiny gear that strips out and makes the transfer case actuator motor stop working. Now on my E83, the way this problem first started was one time when I started it up, I got all sorts of lights on. I didn't hear the clicking noise yet, but when I drove off, the front tires were squealing a little bit. It was like that center differential was locked with the front tires engaged or some settings so that it was squealing a lot. The engine RPMs were low and just really felt like something was wrong. And then after that, it started making the clicking noise, which I'll show in just a second. When you take the key out of the ignition and stop the car. So right now it's still pretty intermittent. I could drive the car and don't necessarily have any problems. But then as I'm driving, the four wheels, all the lights will come on. I'll get the brake light, the four-wheel drive light, also the SRS light. So I've driven it for about a week and a half, and today we're actually going to do the repair. The first thing we need to do is get this up in the air so that we can get underneath it. I'm going to go ahead and put this up on ramps and jack stands. I'm also going to make it level because I'm going to do an automatic transmission service as well. I'll show that in another video. Alright, I got the car up on the ramps. You heard the clicking noise as I turned off the car. Next step is to jack up the rear end and then go ahead and put the back end on jack stands and level. I'm going to use the rear differential for my center point to jack up the rear of the car. Again, make sure while you have your car up on the ramps that you block those front wheels because it's going to maybe want to have the car come back a little bit. So I have them blocked. Alright, good. We got the jack stands underneath each mount point on each side of the car. I left the jack underneath the rear differential slightly engaged just as another backup for safety. So also go around and give the car a good shake each direction, see if it's moving anywhere. Mine didn't feel like it was moving at all, so we should be ready to go. Alright, so now I'm on my creeper and we're going underneath the car. And this is where we want to get to right here. We want to remove these two bolts so that this piece comes down and we can get to that transfer case actuator motor. Go ahead and get your 13 millimeter, start screwing. Next, use your 10 millimeter, take this piece out. Alright, I got to get these other three bolts out actually too. Alright, so I'm not going to take this support piece all the way out because I think I could reach those bolts in there now, and I still have to take those clips off as well, so I'm going to do that right now. Alright, looks like we're getting there. Get your E10 out. Get those four bolts out, and the assembly should be able to come out then. Alright, I took all four of those out, and this thing's already loose, it feels like. So let's just kind of pull it out gently. There we go. Alright, now comes step 2, rebuilding this thing. Alright, I'm probably not going to show all the steps to rebuilding this because there's other resources on YouTube that are really good that show you how to do it. I will show the gear that's in there because I'm just curious to see what it looks like. It's going to be a little bit stripped, but not completely stripped because, like I said, it's an intermittent issue still. It's not always failing. But what we need to do is open this up and then replace that one gear with this one that I bought on eBay for about $7. I've also heard that you can take the gear that's stripped and turn it 180 degrees, which probably would work also, but I just figured since we're going through all this trouble, why not just get the $7 part, put that in there. This one's also supposedly carbon fiber reinforced, so hopefully this will be fixed for the lifetime. Okay, you can see I used the T25 to separate the motor from the assembly. Next thing I need to do is pry this piece out right here so that I can actually remove the retaining pin that goes in there and then actually get to the drive gear, which is causing. Man, this part has been tricky. You can see here on the corners I mean, I've been digging in there with these poking tools and my flathead screwdriver, and I was for a little while there tempted to just spin the gear 180 degrees and put it back in, but it's actually starting to pop up now. But yeah, I broke the end of the screwdriver a little bit and this pointer tool, so let me pull it up now and we'll take a look. All right, finally got that off. So now I just need to remove the retaining clip there, and then we can take the gear assembly out. I also took this piece off just because I was banging on it with the hammer and trying to get those pokey tools in the corner. So that one just kind of naturally separated, and I took it apart because I didn't want to keep banging on that motor assembly. All right, so I did get it off, and here's my gear. Look at those pieces of gear in there that are already coming off. You can see that worm screw has had its way with this thing over the years, and it's really started to eat it up. So we could have spun it 180 degrees, but finally got this piece pulled up, and now I'm going to put my replacement gear on and reassemble everything. All right, there's everything reassembled with the retaining ring reinstalled. I also blew it out with some compressed air. Now I just have to put this piece on and then reassemble. All right, have everything reassembled. Now I just need to put my torque screws back in here, and this thing will be ready to go back. All right, all reassembled and ready to go back in. Also, just wanted to mention that when I had it apart, all the grease had kind of, accumulated in one area. Just take that grease and put it back all over the worm screw. If you see plastic pieces or dirt in there, just discard that. But this thing should be ready. All right, we got our motor back in place. I got the bolts started, and we're going to start torquing these things down now. All right, I got those started and pretty tight. Now it's time to come through with your torque wrench and go 14 foot-pounds on all those. All right, there you go with the connectors back in. This one just snaps back in. This one you have to tighten to 4 foot-pounds, which I did. All right, that's connected. So now bend your heat shield back in place and put this screw in. I notice this part's pretty heavy now, so I'm going to have to maybe put the jack under here to jack this up a little bit just to take some of the stress off of this so I can get it started again. All right, we got our cross member in place, and I'm just about to torque it down to 16 foot-pounds. The trick here is to jack up the transfer case versus the actual member. Jack this up, and then you can move this around. I had to bang this kind of in place because it's tough to get it aligned, but once you get it aligned, then you can crank everything down. All right, and we are done. This has been cranked down. That should be everything. We're going to go ahead and start it up, see if the error message is gone. It was intermittent anyway, so I'll probably need to drive it a couple days just to make sure that error message is gone permanently. We're also going to go ahead and do an automatic transmission service since we have it up on the jack stands and it's level. I'll show that in another video. Hey folks, Chris again here. So quick update on the BMW. It's been about 2 weeks, and we haven't had any error lights or any clicking noises coming from underneath the car. So this repair is done. Also want to thank Bentley Publishers for putting out this fix first and even going into details of describing how to fix the motor. Without doing that, I wouldn't have had the confidence to take on this repair myself. So thanks a lot. And if you like what you saw here, feel free to subscribe or like this video. Also, it's too bad we couldn't get the dealership, how much it would have cost to replace this, but you've gotten some estimates out there. It's definitely worth tackling yourself. Thanks a lot.